Thank you for tuning in. I am Mrs. Russell, and I'm going to be going over some essential information for our upcoming class of 2021 to know in order to make sure that their senior year we maximize on the time that we have and they're able to get everything complete and get to the college of their choice. I used to have these presentations at the school, and then I met with some parents, and they were saying that the times are not convenient. Both parents want the information. They wanted to be able to go back to the information and remember exactly what I said, so I started recording these and sending them out to parents. And then after that, if you would like to schedule a meeting to talk individually, then we definitely can. That actually has worked best. I've been doing this way for the past 3 years. It actually has worked best this way so that parents can write down the different information that they need. We can go over their child individually instead of me answering questions in general. So please feel free to schedule a meeting with me during the summer or after I send this out, especially after the seniors leave. So like mid-May, I have more time available, and we can definitely sit down and begin to go over what it is that your rising senior needs to know in order to be successful next year. This is just a reminder of the graduation requirements that we have here at Arbor Prep. So each student has done a credit audit every year, but just looking over the different things they need the 4 credits of math. So they need a math class every single year that they're in high school. They need 4 credits of English. So that does not mean every year, but it does mean they need 4 different courses in English. They need the social studies, the science, the art, the world language. That's 2 years of the same language. And then the PE and health, and then 3 electives. So those 3 electives can look like a number of things: additional AP class. It could be an online class. It could be a dual enrollment course. It could be that 4th year of science. It could be AP US after they've already taken regular US. So it just looks different for every student what those 3 electives look like. But they equal 22 credits total. Students need to have 60 community service hours completed in order to graduate. I challenged my seniors this year to reach 120 to receive the service courts. They all are doing actually an excellent job. I make goals with every senior class, and that was one of the goals that we sat down and came up with. So I'm going to challenge these upcoming seniors to have more than the 60 service hours. I know many of them already do, but just as a whole class to have more than just those 60 service hours. They have a senior project that they have to complete. The senior project goes over the who am I, where am I going, and how will I get there. Students will take an in-depth look at what they plan to do with their life after high school, and kind of before their senior advisory teachers do a presentation saying why they are prepared to graduate, and how they've planned out their life basically. We also have mock interviews that they have to do, and there is a job shadow component. All that information will be sent out later on this year about what they need to do for their job shadow over the summer. Not so much mock interviews, because mock interviews don't happen to the end of their senior year, but they will be getting their senior project packet as soon as, again, my current seniors leave. Then I'll move on and start helping them with their senior project. They have to get accepted into a 4-year university of college. They do not have to go to a 4-year, but they do have to get accepted. That is one of the values that we uphold here at PrepNet and Arbor Prep, is that we will prepare all students to know how to do those applications of a 4-year, which is completely different than the application of a 2-year. So I will assist them in applying to a 4-year, but many of our students do go on to go to Washington. Now with our early college, many of our students are going to Wayne County. And then they have to successfully complete 2 AP courses. A lot of students will say, but there's nothing I want to take. I've went through every single class that's available, and I don't know what else to take. So there is the opportunity to do dual enrollment, but we are doing dual enrollment through Wayne County, the Belleville campus. So we would need to look into that. We would need to get all that paperwork done this summer, and then students can take additional AP classes. Because that is, if they do good on the AP exam, that will be additional college credit that they will have. So we're looking at the class of 2020 and where they're applying and what are they doing. The number 1 school that our students are applying to will be Eastern Michigan, and Washtenaw is a close second. University of Michigan still tends to be the top school that our high achieving students want to get admitted to, along with Michigan State. Class of 2019 was probably the biggest Michigan State class that I had. I had close to 10 students go to Michigan State that year. And with my class of 2020, with that being such a small class, I still have about 4 students who are heavily thinking about Michigan State at this time. So that's still, if we look at the ratio, that's still a large amount of the class population. Wayne County Community College is seeping in there, just because of the fact that we have the early college and they do so much in our school that students are now looking at them as an opportunity. Students are deciding to stay close to home. Many students are deciding to stay home once we get those financial aid award letters back. It's just the cost of school is just so much, and students really realize that they don't want to put themselves or their parents in a bind. So then they look at Eastern, they look at Washtenaw, and I tell students that, just because you started doesn't mean that's where you have to finish. So if you are interested in transferring out of state, that's something we can definitely look at after your freshman or sophomore year. But most of the time, by the time my students get to the end of their junior year, senior year, schools are really that are close to home are really starting to look good, unless they have an athletic scholarship or some kind of large amount of scholarship dollars. So this is a breakdown of the schools that are in Michigan. So when I talk about schools for students to go to, I really stay with our Michigan schools, because that's where most of our students are going to go to. We have had a couple of students definitely that have went, to HBCUs, and students that are in Arizona and Pennsylvania, and just a large assortment of states, but the majority of our students stay in Michigan. So we're looking at rigorous schools. We're looking at, of course, University of Michigan, Arbor, Michigan State, Kalamazoo, and Hillsdale. When I say rigorous, the average student at the University of Michigan and Arbor is about a 3.9 student. The average SAT score is over a 1400. And Michigan State is really pushing itself up to the standard that University of Michigan Arbor has. Kalamazoo and Hillsdale are private colleges. We don't have many students apply there, but they are very rigorous schools to get into. Not as rigorous would be Michigan Tech, Wayne State, University of Michigan Dearborn. When I say not as rigorous, I'm saying that most students who are attending there are in a 3.5 area. Wayne State, their GPA has lower, so I would actually move them to middle range now that I'm kind of looking back. But Michigan Tech and University of Michigan Dearborn are schools that are looking for students in the 3.5, 3.6 area, usually a 1200 or more on the SAT. And just to give you some context, the highest score that you can receive on the SAT is a 1600. Our average here at Arbor Prep is usually right under the 1200 range. So most of our students will be able to attend Michigan State and University of Michigan Dearborn. For middle range schools, so schools that are looking for students who might be a little bit below a 3.0 or right in the 3.0 range, and SAT score probably above like a 900 in the thousands, would be Oakland, Western, Grand Valley, and I will move Wayne State there. But one thing to keep in mind is they're looking for students for admission for that, but their scholarships are going to start much higher than that 900 and 1000 range. And then schools that are going to offer students wiggle room would be Ferris, University of Michigan Flint, Eastern are going to be in this area, Baker College, and community colleges. Community colleges are right to learn schools, such as the exact same as Baker. So if a student doesn't have a great GPA, didn't do good on the SAT, then those are schools that I definitely encourage them to go to, because they will admit a student regardless of what GPA they have and what SAT score they receive. So we still have some students that say, you know what, Miss Russell, I need to get as far from Michigan as I can, and I need you to help me. I start off by saying that students should be having a conversation with their parents. They should know how much their parents are going to invest in their education and how much they're responsible for. So if a student says, I want to go to DePaul University in Chicago, then DePaul University is right under $50,000. So I tell students, okay, So did you talk to mom and dad? What did they say? And most students say, yeah, they said that they will help me. And then my conversation with them is, okay, they said they will help you. What does help look like? Because help to me could be you need to take care of the bulk of your education, and then we'll swoop in at the end and take care of any remnants that you have. But help to my high school students means I'm going to take care and find everything for you, and you're going to go and live a great life. So just making sure that we're all on the same page. I sometimes loop the parents in to have that conversation or reach out to you separately just to know how I should be working with that student. It's nothing worse than, it happens every year. I work with students all year, and then we get that financial aid award package back, and they haven't had that conversation that I told the parents and the student to have, and now the student is just so sad because they can't afford to go to the college of their dreams that they thought they were going to go to for the last 4 years. So just make sure that you have that conversation. Many of our out of Michigan schools don't offer humongous scholarships for students who are not in state. I've had students that want to go to Stanford and want to go to UCLA, but they don't offer good scholarships unless you're in California. So they weren't able to go because they couldn't find that money. And then we definitely need to start looking. So I will have individual junior meetings coming up about the end of April, beginning of May. I start having them slowly. I've already met with all the juniors as far as their advisory class. I've met with them over their 4 years here at Arbor Prep. I've been here since they came. I've been here for 5 years. So we've met on multiple occasions, but now our meetings will become, instead of being sporadic, they will become more frequent, and especially having events and everything over the summer so that we can look at and be prepared for what their plans are. So the SAT is a test they will take here in April. They'll take it here at Arbor Prep. But students can also take the ACT. They can take the SAT again. So I want them to be successful on the SAT. I want them to get the highest score they can receive. But if they don't, it's not the end of the world. We can retake the test. The first test is usually offered again in August. So we can definitely take that. The ACT, the only difference between that and the SAT is that the ACT has a science component to where the SAT does not. I do not see students do horrible on the SAT and then just jump up and do magnificently better on the ACT. What I see is they kind of stay the same. So if a student is not studying, if a student is not utilizing Khan Academy, if they're not practicing, then they're not going to be successful. So they really have to take this on. I tell them you should treat the SAT like homework until you take it, and do your homework and then study for the SAT. Do more homework and then study for the SAT. So if students haven't been doing that, they have all summer, and they can utilize their time wisely and prepare for that test. For a student to apply to college, they need their social security number. So this is sometimes where we may have a problem with parents that says, I don't want to give you a social security number, and I understand that. I understand not wanting them to have that just to have in their back pocket or their phone. But we do need it a lot of times for those applications to go through. It's the college. There's nothing that I can do. So if they're going to be doing applications here with me, then I will always ask them, do you have your social security number? So please make sure they either know it or that is something that is accessible to them so that we can complete what we need to here. A student cannot apply to college until the end of their junior year. So they'll need 3 complete year of grades, and they need SAT or ACT scores. And I'm sorry, they can't apply. So they could apply to college, but they wouldn't be able to get an admission decision. And then if a student receives free or reduced lunch, then I have fee waivers in my office to pay for their application. So they need to come see me first before they pay anything. And usually in October, many schools that have an application fee are free. So this year was really big because Central Michigan participated in College Application Month for the first time, and their application fee is $35. So every student I had that wanted to apply to Central Michigan, I said, wait and let's do it in October. Same with Wayne State. Wayne State's application fee is, I think, $25, and they're free the entire month of October. So those are schools where I would say, hold off, let's not apply, let's wait until they're free. If a student's applying to Michigan State, then we need to get their application in as soon as Michigan State's application opens up, which is the beginning of August. So students who are in the early college program, they don't do any applications during their senior year, so their traditional senior year. They do all of their applications during their 13th year. So I will have office hours and an office day at Wayne County campus, and the students will be required to meet with me during their 13th year to make sure that they're able to get their FAFSA done and all of their college applications done. They will have two options next year for Wayne County. So their one option will be for them to just be on Wayne County's campus the entire year. They won't have any Friday classes, so that could be a day they come back to Arbor Prep and participate in all the activities, the traditional activities of their senior year. And then the other option, which most of our students are leaning towards, will be to be part-time. So they will come here for A and B block and advisory, and then the rest of the day they will be at Wayne County's campus. One thing to keep in mind is transportation and making sure that you will be able to get them back and forth between Arbor Prep and Wayne County. A lot of our schools, our students right now, they carpool, so that is always an option. Or a lot of students receive cars during their senior year, so that will be able to assist them. But if not, then being on at Wayne County's campus the full time probably makes the most sense, because they could be dropped off in the morning and then picked up in the evening and spend the time in between their classes doing work or being involved on campus. So for students who are doing the regular 4 years, um, you would need to complete the 3 years of high school again and then have the SAT or ACT scores. Any student who did not start at Arbor Prep, most likely the college is going to ask for your transcripts from every high school. They'll want official transcripts, so we'll either need to go on Parchment and set that account up for every school, or we'll need to call the school and see if they'll send them. We'll have to figure out a way to make that happen. Now, there have been cases where a school has just taken our transcript and that's been it. They haven't needed anything else. So we will just keep that in the back of our mind. And if they don't ask for it, we'll just go with our transcript. But if they do, know that that's something that we may have to fish out. And I tell students, enjoy your summer. And that summer between junior year and senior year is one of your last summers to really have a great time. So enjoy it. Don't worry about doing any college applications unless you're applying to MSU. We can handle that all when we get back. There's no other school unless you're applying. If you're applying out of state too, but if you're not applying out of state, if you're not applying to MSU, then just have a great time, because when we come back we can handle everything. We'll meet every deadline. There's nothing that happens if you apply to U of M August 1st, because they won't read your application into the early application deadline, which is November 1st. So just take your time and enjoy life. So there are three different ways that we can apply to schools. So we can go on the school website. So if we take a school like the University of Michigan Flint, you can go to umflint.edu and you can pull up their application. You can also go on the Common App and make an account and apply to U of M Flint, Wayne State, Western, University of Mercy, University of Michigan Arbor, Kettering, Northwood, Lawrence Tech, Spring Arbor, Eastern. Many schools are on the Common App. So I will tell a student, if you're just applying to Wayne State and U of M Dearborn, the Common App doesn't make sense. But if you're going to apply to a nice amount of schools, let's go ahead and get you a Common App account. Students do have a deadline to get their Common App to me, because I have a lot of work that I have to do on the counselor end. And usually I say by that second week of October, they at least have to invite me so I can take care of my part. So I'll go over that with students again. The coalition app is not something we really use here. Most students, if they're in the Wolverine Pathways program, they'll use the coalition apps, because Wolverine Pathways wants to be able to see their application. But the coalition app is kind of like the Common App, but is usually used for students who are not in a traditional high school. So a student who is homeschooled, a student who may be in a juvenile system, so that their team can assist them and they can have equity when applying to college. So your junior already knows this, because I've met with them again, freshman and sophomore year and this year, and I've sent out information to parents before. I usually do this every year. but they should be involved in some kind of extracurricular activity. It is important that they are really involved so they can, when we're writing up their application and when we're writing essays, that they're able to use specific examples of what they've been involved in and things they've done to make the extra activity better. So if a student is involved here, maybe they play basketball and maybe they have a job, that goes in there because having a job is a lot of work and a lot of responsibility. We also want to make sure that we talk about any personal passions or interests when we're doing these college essays, and that they're involved in something that they really like. Not every school requires an essay. Right now, the biggest essay that we have to be prepared for will be for scholarships, and then for the University of Michigan Ann Arbor. Students want to ensure that when they're writing University of Michigan Ann Arbor's essay, that they make a difference if they can, that they answer the questions honestly, and that if a person is reading the essay, they should not be able to take University of Michigan out of it and put another school and the essay still makes sense. It should only make sense for the University of Michigan Ann Arbor. Students want to continue to make sure that their schedule is rigorous during their senior year. We don't really let students get out of their schedule and take any fluff classes. So that's not a problem. The problem that we run into is that students take online classes or may take advanced physical fitness, and they don't get dressed, they don't do what they're supposed to, and then that's a C on your transcript. And that could be a make or break for you to get accepted to University of Michigan Ann Arbor or get accepted to Michigan State or for a scholarship. So it's very important that we stay on target for graduation. If a student has a dip in grades, then we'll always explain that, and a lot of times the admissions counselor will call me to ask more information. So if a student started off bad freshman year, the trend has gone upward, then we're in a way better place than if a student started off good and it's going down. But if there's been anything personal that has happened, then we can definitely talk that through and talk to the admissions rep personally to handle their admissions decision. So colleges are basically looking at GPA and SAT score. I tell students all the time, and they don't like when I say this, but you can be the best person. You can be involved in everything in the world. You can have the best interview. You could be the most interested in their school. But if you don't have the GPA and SAT score to get in the door, that's it. They're not even going to get a chance to know everything else. So a student needs to bring that GPA and SAT score. Now, a lot of schools are going test optional, which would mean that they won't take in account your SAT scores. They may have you submit a paper. They may say you can submit your SAT score if you want to. Right now in Michigan, the only ones that are test optional would be Ferris, and then I've heard rumors that Wayne State may be starting to go that way, but Ferris is a test optional school right now. Students will need letters of recommendation. If they're doing a Common App, they'll need recommendations through the Common App. I'm always available for a recommendation, but students have to complete a brag sheet with me. This year I'm going to do something different. I'm going to bring all the juniors down and have them complete a brag sheet with me, just so I have those all taken care of instead of having to search them out to find them during their senior year. They want to make sure they give their teachers enough time, and they want to make sure they say the words, "Can you write me a positive letter of recommendation?" Because writing a letter of recommendation, they may not be the best in the class. So if the teacher cannot provide a positive recommendation, that's not the teacher that you want to go to, definitely. Not every school requires it. If they don't, then there's not really a need to turn it in. Usually they don't read it, but if they do require it, then you must have it. You have an Arbor, you must have your letter of recommendation. For scholarships, you must have those letters of recommendation, and without those, then your application just sits there. You want to take advantage of college visits. So I bring in pretty much all the schools in Michigan throughout the fall. Sometimes I have a lot of student assignments, sometimes I don't. But students need to take advantage of those. Please stay on top of your students. Are you going to the college visits that Ms. Russell was having? Are you asking questions? Are you paying attention? Because I'll have students come just to get out of class, and then I'm spending the entire time correcting them, and then I don't allow them to come back if they're disrespectful to the admissions rep. So please make sure that you stay on top of them with doing that. I also will be taking juniors to Wayne State and to a college fair in April. So we'll be pretty busy SAT along with SAT, but the National College Fair has been one that students have really loved. They're able to see schools from all over. They're able to talk to um, the Michigan Treasury Office about grants and a tip and all these things. So I love to take my juniors every year. If you can't visit a campus, then I tell students that you want to do the virtual tours. You want to come in here and talk with me and see if we can work something out. Maybe there's 5 students who may want to go see University of Toledo, and we just take a trip to University of Toledo. So the number one issue that we run in with students is that they're interested in the out-of-state school. They're interested in going away to school and staying on campus, but it's just very hard to find the funds to do so. A number one way that we can assist with this is by making sure that families complete the FAFSA. That is the free application for federal student aid. It'll open in October of their senior year. Students who are in the early college program will complete it in October of their 13th year, and I will assist with that. And our put is due by March 1st, but we want to make sure that we get that FAFSA in as soon as possible, because when funds are done, they're done. An example will be if a student qualifies for the tuition incentive program, those funds dry up. So if they have not had their FAFSA and did their application, then I've known students who have applied to that in April or May, and there's no money left at the school, so they have to use other funds such as loans. Through the FAFSA, a student can qualify for grants, for unsubsidized and subsidized loans, and for work study. Starting in about January, with many schools, we'll receive a financial aid award letter, which will go over how much the family is expected to contribute to the student's education, and that begins to assist us with making decisions. Students will complete the FAFSA online at fafsa.gov. In October, I will pull all seniors to begin completing their FSA ID, which they need, and then they need one more parent to have a FSA ID to sign their FAFSA. I have families do one of two options. So the first option will be for the family to come in together. I pull the student out of class, and then we complete the FAFSA in one sitting together. And if we have any questions or concerns that we can't answer, then we would call the FAFSA office in Washington, D.C. Another option that has actually become very popular is that parents will complete their taxes. So because they're going to school in 2021, you will use your 2019 taxes, the prior year taxes. Parents will complete those, and then they will send them in to me with the student, and me and the student will sit and complete them in a day, and then we send them back. That actually has become very popular because parents are busy, and I understand, and I don't mind doing that at all. So if you just let me know what option to assist your family in completing the FAFSA, then I will take care of it. You want to remember sticker price versus actual price. So I say this because I've seen a private school with their tuition and housing about $40,000, and then another school that's in state that's a public university, and their tuition and housing be about 24, and the private school ends up being less than the public school, and that is because they're able to offer more money, they're able to give more in grants, they're able to kind of play with the loan amount that they offer. So we just want to wait before making a decision until we receive those award letters. And then if a family is thinking they're going to receive athletic offers, we still want to get a FAFSA in just to be safe at all levels, to make sure that the student is able to have a backup plan if the athletic offer doesn't work out, or they may only receive a partial athletic offer, and then they may have to come up with additional funds to take care of housing or food. So we just want to make sure that everyone completes the FAFSA. It is extremely important. So this year, you could go to fafsaforecaster.ed.gov and complete a mock FAFSA and kind of see what you should be looking at. I suggest this for a lot of families. A lot of families don't do it because it takes a nice amount of time. But I think it's a great way to kind of begin to financially plan out what a student's college is going to look like. All of the juniors were pulled earlier this year and completed an account on RaiseMe. This is an awesome opportunity to get micro scholarships just for being a regular student. So you can receive money if you visit a campus. You can receive money if you have all A's, if you've been involved, if you are on student council. So we just want to make sure that the students are staying on top of this, because if they go to Wayne State, if they go to Madonna, these are schools that participate in RaiseMe and they can receive additional funds. So goals for our juniors this year will be they need to start determining their good fit. So I'm beginning to pull junior advisories to come in again and look at schools they're interested in, and how does that look with your GPA? How does that line up? How does it line up with what your interests are? If you're interested in nursing, why are we having a conversation about University of Michigan Dearborn when they don't have a nursing program? Do you understand what it's like to have to apply to a nursing program, and what are your options if you don't get the grades? So these are things, conversations that I'm having with students. And they're going really great. Later on in the year, I began to pull students individually to have those one-on-one conversations and really get a clear idea of what I need to do to make sure that every student is successful. Students want to prepare for the SAT. The SAT is extremely important when we are planning for college and what school they want to attend, because their GPA could be extremely high, but if that SAT score is not in the range of many of the competitive schools, then we're talking about them not getting admitted, and I would hate to see that. They want to create a strong transcript. Fortunately, here at Arbor Prep, we don't have many filler classes, so any class they're taking really aids to a strong transcript. Those students who are applying to competitive schools, they want to ensure that they're taking more than the 2 required AP courses. If they're in the early college program, there's just more and more college courses that are going to go on their transcript, so it looks very good. They want to get those letter of recommendation done. I would start asking teachers right now for letters of recommendation before they go to summer break. So I would say maybe in May, after the seniors leave in June, just ask for some letters of recommendation so you can have them in your pocket if you do decide to do any applications over the summer. And then once we get back to school, sometimes it gets it's everything is everywhere. The teachers are trying to meet new students. They're, trying to get on top of their courses. So it would be good for the students to already have those letter recommendation in their pocket. And then they want to look for things to do over the summer. That's going to be extracurricular activities. Maybe they worked in the summer. Maybe they're going to do some community service. Maybe they're going to go do a program at a college. But spending their summer, doing some things that we can put on those applications would be awesome. So that's just a small overview that I hope you are able to use and you found some good information. This is my information. I'm usually very good about texting back because of, if anyone has been in my room that I have here at Arbor Prep, it's way in the back of the building, so I don't get good service. So texting me and emailing me is always best, and I try to get right back to you. And during the day, I'm in and out of my classroom. I have hours where it's full of students. I have hours where I have a little bit of time. So I ask that you just give me a second to email you and text you back. I would love to have individual meetings with as many parents as who would love to have them, so that we can all just make sure we're on the same page and I can assist you and your student the best way possible. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to me at any time. Again, next year we will be having the senior breakfast, we will be having decision day and all those wonderful events. So if you're interested in assisting with those, please reach out to me so I can put your name down, mock interviews and all of those, and have a great day.